it's incredible to hear from the Labour front bench them trying to take credit. They say they led the way. No, they've actually paved the way for this bill to do that to the Scottish Parliament. And they talk about the guile that they've shown. Well, it's gall that they have when they talk about this. You can understand, Madam Deputy Speaker, why they only have one MP in Scotland. Because the Labour front bench spent more of their time, rather than taking this bill apart, which should have been done, but talking about the democratically elected members of the Parliament that are here. And vastly more in numbers, as I've pointed out, than the one they have in Scotland. They're not listening to Scotland. They never do. And, of course, they've allowed this aberration to come forward in the way it has by abstaining in the House of Lords. The amendment does not protect devolution. As I said, the Minister has laid that out clearly today for everybody to hear. Westminster ministers will still have the right to impose lower food, environmental and other devolved standards on Scotland, regardless of the view of Holyrood. This bill is the biggest assault on devolution in the history of the Scottish Parliament. It undermines devolved policy making, grabs spending powers and removes state aid from being a devolved responsibility. The Scottish Parliament and the Welsh Assembly refused to give this bill consent, and it is outrageous that the UK Government is once again ignoring the wishes of the people of Scotland as well as Wales. In welcoming the amendment, Professor Aileen McHarg warned there are still significant problems with this bill. It changes the scope of devolved decision-making, it reserves additional powers to Westminster, it empowers the UK Government to spend in devolved areas that have nothing to do with markets, for example, prisons, sport, international student exchanges and more. And above all, unlike EU law, it has inherently asymmetrical effect on decision-making for England and for the devolved territories. This is a bill which squarely falls within the scope of the Sewell Convention, and the necessity of it is deeply questionable. But of course, the Government haven't listened to that, and Labour have capitulated on that. Madam Deputy Speaker, the only reason for this bill as it now stands is to demolish devolution. If the Government take this bill forward today, as they obviously will, that is what they will be doing. Any pretence thereafter by the Scottish Tory MPs that they respect the democratic rights of the people of Scotland will be blown apart if they support this today. In fact, they've already supported it because this, as it seems, will go through. They have done nothing to protect the democratic rights of the Scottish people. People in Scotland, Madam Deputy Speaker, are watching. People in Scotland, when they see the effects of this bill, will be angry about the fact that their rights are being taken away by these Tory ministers, aided by their Labour bedfellows. They will be furious about the fact that their rights are being stripped from them. And they are listening, and they are watching, and they are seeing developments in this place, and they are understanding now that the only way to protect their Parliament, to protect their rights, to protect their democracy in Scotland is to go forward as an independent nation, and they'll be voting for that, I'm sure, in due course.
5